The oracle had decreed that each of your wives must partake of a portion of food prepared by my own hands, he announced, and from this sacred meal all three queens shall conceive a child. One among them shall bear you a prince, a son to carry on your noble lineage. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom ruled by a wise and kind king named King Ebekuo. He was loved by his people and he loved them dearly too. But King Ebekuo had a problem. He didn't have a child to inherit his throne. King Ebekuo married his first wife, Queen Adeze, with hope and joy in his heart. But as the years went by, Queen Adeze couldn't give birth to a child. King Ebekuo didn't lose hope. He married his second wife, Queen Ngozi, believing that she would bring a little prince or princess into their lives. However, Queen Ngozi also couldn't bear a child. The people of the kingdom whispered about the king's longing for an heir. They saw his sadness and worried face as the years passed, without the pitter-patter of tiny feet echoing through the palace halls. Despite having two wives, King Ebekuo's heart still felt incomplete. He decided to marry a third wife, Queen Ifeoma, hoping that maybe she would be the one to bring joy and laughter to their kingdom with the birth of a royal child. But alas, Queen Ifeoma faced the same fate as the others. No child blessed their union. As time marched on, King Ebekuo grew older and his worry deepened. He knew that without a child to inherit his throne, the kingdom might face troubled times ahead. He couldn't bear the thought of his beloved kingdom without a rightful heir. The king and his wives tried everything they could to have a child. They sought the advice of wise men and traveled far and wide in search of solutions. They visited healers, herbalists, and even ventured into the deepest forests to consult with mystical beings, but all their efforts were in vain. The kingdom watched as their king's once joyful spirit dimmed with each passing day. They prayed for a miracle, hoping that one day their king would have a child to carry on his legacy. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the worry in the palace deepened like shadows at dusk. King Ebekuo's heart weighed heavy with concern, for he longed for a child to carry on his legacy. The people of the kingdom watched with furrowed brows, their hearts echoing the king's silent plea. One day, when the sun painted the sky in shades of gold, King Ebekuo made a decision. He would seek wisdom of the village oracle, hoping to unravel the mystery that shrouded his household in barrenness. Summoning the chief priest, the keeper of ancient secrets, the king sought answers to the questions that weighed upon his heart. With reverence and solemnity, the chief priest entered the palace, his eyes filled with the wisdom of ages past. Together, the king and the chief priest sat in quiet contemplation, ready to seek guidance from the oracle. Through chants and incantations, the chief priest called upon the oracle, his voice weaving through the air like a gentle breeze. The palace seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the oracle's voice to break the silence. And after the chief priest emerged from his trance, his words carried the weight of destiny. The oracle has spoken, he declared, his voice resonating with authority. It has revealed the path forward, but it is not without its challenges. With bated breath, King Ebekuo leaned forward, eager to hear the oracle's decree. "Tell me, wise one," he implored, "what must we do to break the curse that has befallen my household?" The chief priest was, "We are like a beacon of hope in the darkness. The oracle had decreed that each of your wives must partake of a portion of food prepared by my own hands, he announced, and from this sacred meal all three queens shall conceive a child. One among them shall bear you a prince, a son to carry on your noble lineage. The king's heart swelled with hope at the prospect of a child to call his own, to carry on his name and his legacy. With gratitude in his heart, he entrusted the chief priest with the sacred task of preparing the meal. Days passed, and anticipation hung heavy in the air as the palace awaited the arrival of the sacred meal. And when the chief priest returned, he bore with him a pot of soup, its aroma mingling with the hopes and dreams of all who beheld. He presented the pot of soup to the king and told him to give to his three wives to share among themselves. The gods have spoken. Then the chief priest left the palace. A shadow fell upon the joyous atmosphere. The two older wives, Queen Adaeze and Queen Ngozi, harbored jealousy and resentment towards their youngest counterparts, Queen Ifeoma. They whispered secrets and schemes in the quiet corners of the palace, their hearts filled with bitterness and envy. When the sun hid behind the clouds and darkness crept over the land, the two older queens hatched a plan. With cunning smiles and devious hearts, they seized the pot of soup prepared by the chief priest, intent on claiming the promise of a child for themselves. They shared the soup between them, savoring each mouthful with greed and delight, their laughter echoing through the empty corridors of the palace. They believed that without Queen Ifeoma partaking of the meal, their chances of bearing the king's son would be assured. But little did they know, their actions would sow the seeds of sorrow and despair in the heart of their younger co-wife. When Queen Ifeoma discovered the empty pot of soup turned upside down, her heart shattered like fragile glass. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she realized the betrayal of her co-wives, the betrayal of their sacred bond as wives of the king. In her desperation, Queen Ifeoma scraped the pot with her fingers, licking every bit of leftover soup she could find. She prayed to the heavens above, her voice trembling with anguish and hope, pleading for mercy and redemption in her hour of need. God, do not forsake me, she whispered, her words a plea carried on the wings of faith. Do not let me bear the shame of my co-wives. Grant me the strength to rise above their wickedness, to find a way to fulfill the promise of a new life within me. And so, Queen Ifeoma's prayer echoed through the palace halls, a beacon of light in the darkness that threatened to consume her. But even in her despair, Queen Ifeoma refused to surrender to despair. With courage burning bright in her heart, she vowed to defy the odds, to rise above the trials that lay before her. And as the days turned into weeks, a glimmer of hope flickered in the depth of Queen Ifeoma's soul, for she knew that even in the darkest of nights, the light of hope would never be extinguished. As the weeks passed by, the palace buzzed with anticipation and excitement. The two senior wives, Queen Adaeze and Queen Ngozi, were heavily pregnant, their bellies round with the promise of new lives. And soon, to the delight of the kingdom, they both gave birth to two beautiful daughters, their cries echoing through the halls of the palace. But amidst the celebrations, a cloud of worry hung over the hearts of the senior wives. They watched with anxious eyes as the third wife, Queen Ifeoma, carried her own precious burden within her womb. Their thoughts twisted and turned with fear and jealousy, for they feared that she might bear the son that would secure the king's legacy. We cannot let this happen, they whispered to each other, their voices laced with determination. We must do something to ensure that our own daughters inherit the throne. As the time for Queen Informer's delivery drew near, the senior wives donned masks of kindness and compassion, showering their younger wife with false affection and care. They stayed close to her side, their smiles hiding the darkness that lurked within their hearts. But when the hour of Queen Informer's delivery arrived, the palace trembled with anticipation and dread. And as the cries of a newborn baby filled the air, the senior wife's hearts were filled with trepidation. For Queen Informer had given birth to a beautiful baby boy, his cries a testament to the miracle of new life. But before she could cradle her son in her arms, the senior wives sprang into action, their faces twisted with deceit and malice. In a cruel twist of fate, they snatched the baby boy from his mother's arm, replacing him with a cold, lifeless stone. And as the echoes of their deception reverberated through the palace halls, they raised an alarm, their voices filled with faint shock and horror. The villagers, drawn by the cries of distress, gathered to witness the scene unfolding before them, and as they beheld the stone in Queen Informer's arm, their hearts filled with disbelief and confusion. King Ebekuo's heart shattered as he gazed upon the scene before him, torn between duty and love, and with a heavy heart, he made a decision that would forever alter the course of Queen Informer's life. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Queen Informer was cast out from the palace walls, her heart heavy with sorrow and betrayal. She clutched the stone to her chest, a painful reminder of the son she had lost, and the innocence stolen from her by the cruel hand of fate. Alone and abandoned, Queen Informer wandered the streets of the village, her tears mingling with the dust of the earth beneath her feet. And as she disappeared into the distance, her cries echoing into the night, the kingdom mourned the loss of innocence and the cruelty of human hearts. Years passed, and the baby abandoned under the trees in the forest grew into a kind and gentle young man under the care of the herbalist who found him. The herbalist, whose heart overflowed with compassion, raised the boy as his own, teaching him the ways of the forest and the secrets of healing herbs. The young man, whom the herbalist named Ikenna, grew strong and wise, his heart filled with kindness and empathy. For all living creatures, he tended to the sick and the injured, offering comfort and solace to those in need. As time marched on, tragedy struck the kingdom. King Ebekuo, the beloved ruler, who had longed for a son to inherit his throne, passed away without a male heir to carry on his legacy. The kingdom mourned the loss of their king, their hearts heavy with sorrow and uncertainty. With no obvious candidate to ascend the throne, the villagers turned to the village priest for guidance. Through incantations and prayers, the priest communed with the oracle, seeking answers to the kingdom's plight. And lo, the oracle spoke, its words echoing through the hearts of the villagers. There is a king, it proclaimed, a rightful heir to the throne. He dwells deep in the forest, in the home of a powerful medicine man. You must seek him out and bring him home. The villagers listened with bated breath, their eyes wide with wonder and awe, for in the depth of the forest, hope bloomed like a flower in the darkness, beckoning them towards a destiny unknown. With determination burning bright in their hearts, the villagers set forth on a journey into the unknown. Through the winding paths and dense undergrowth, they ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, guided by the whispering winds and the songs of the birds above. And as they journeyed deeper into the forest embrace, their hearts quickened with anticipation, for they knew that their quests held the promise of a new beginning, of a king destined to rise from the shadows and claim his rightful place upon the throne. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, Ikenna tended to his herbs, his mind filled with thoughts of the world beyond the trees. Little did he know that destiny was calling his name, beckoning him towards a path he had never dared to imagine. As the villagers drew closer to their destination, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation, for they knew that their journey held the promise of a new dawn, where the kingdom would be united under the rule of a king whose heart beat in harmony with the rhythm of the land. When the villagers reached the home of the herbal man, they found him tending to his garden, his face withered by years of wisdom and kindness. With voices filled with urgency and hope, they explained the purpose of their journey, revealing to him the truth of Ikenna's royal lineage. The herbal man listened with a furrowed brow, his eyes reflecting the weight of the destiny that lay upon their shoulders. He had watched Ikenna grow from a child into a man of kindness and courage, and now the time had come for him to embrace his true destiny. With gentle words and a heart heavy with farewell, the herbal man bid Ikenna to heed the call of his destiny, to return to the village as its rightful king. And though his heart ached at the thought of parting ways with the young man he had come to love as his own, he knew that it was time for Ikenna to embrace his true identity. After much contemplation and soul searching, Ikenna agreed to accompany the villagers back to the palace, his heart filled with both excitement and trepidation, for though he knew that his destiny awaited him within the palace walls, the mysteries of his past still lingered like shadows in his night. As they journeyed back to the villagers welcomed King Ikenna with open arms, their hearts filled with joy and anticipation. But amidst the celebration, a cloud of uncertainty hung over the kingdom, for the mystery of Ikenna's mother remained unsolved, and she needs to be found before his coronation. According to the oracle's decree, the boy's mother resided within the village, her identity shrouded in mystery and intrigue. And so the villagers set forth on a quest to unravel the secrets of Ikenna's past, to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. They searched high and low, questioning villagers far and wide, but the identity of Ikenna's mother remained elusive. Each lead they pursued led to dead ends and false trials, leaving them no closer to uncovering the truth. But amidst the uncertainty, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness, for the villagers knew that with determination and perseverance, the truth would eventually come to light, revealing the secrets that had long been buried beneath the sands of time. The village buzzed with anticipation as the oracle's decree spread like wildfire through the streets. Every woman was to cook a pot of soup, and the boy who would become king would taste from each one to identify his mother. The village hummed with excitement as preparations began in earnest. In every home, women bustled about, gathering ingredients and spices with care and precision. They poured love and dedication into each pot, determined to craft the finest soup their hands could create. From savory meat to colorful vegetable, flavors filled the air, mingling with the scent of simmering broth. But amidst the flurry of activity, there was one woman whose heart weighed heavy with sorrow. She lived on the outskirts of the village, in a humble hut at the edge of the forest. She was the village outcast, shunned by society for reasons unknown to many. In her little hut, she sat alone, her hands idle and her heart heavy with longing. She had no money to buy ingredients for her pot of soup, no means to compete with the lavish offerings of her neighbors, and so she watched with sadness as the grand preparation unfolded around her, knowing that she would not be able to participate in the festivities. But as the day of the tasting drew near, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness. For though she lacked wealth and status, she possessed something far more precious, a heart filled with love for the son she had lost. With determination burning bright within her, the village outcast set forth into the forest, her footsteps guided by the whispering winds and the gentle rustle of leaves. She gathered wild herbs and berries, the bounty of nature's embrace, weaving them together into a humble pot of soup, imbued with love and devotion. And as she returned to the village square, her heart filled with both hope and trepidation, she beheld a sight that filled her with wonder and awe. The square teemed with activity, as women from every corner of the village lined up with their pots of soup, their faces alight with excitement and anticipation. But amidst the sea of pots, there was one that stood apart from the rest. It was plain and unadorned, lacking the grandeur of its counterparts, and yet within its depths lay a love that surpassed all riches, a love born from the depths of a mother's heart. As the boy who would be the king approached each pot in turn, tasting from its depths with careful consideration, the villagers held their breath, their hearts pounding with anticipation. And when he reached the plain pot at the end of the line, a hush fell over the crowd, as if the very air itself held its breath in anticipation. With trembling hands, the village outcast lifted the lid of her pot, revealing the simple soup within. And as the boy tasted from its depths, a look of recognition dawned upon his face, his eyes shining with tears of joy and reunion. For in that humble pot of soup, he tasted not just the flavors of herbs and spices, but the love of a mother's heart, a love that had never wavered, even in the face of adversity and hardship. And as the villagers looked on, their hearts filled with awe and wonder, they knew that true greatness lay not in wealth or status, but in the boundless depth of love and compassion that dwelled within each and every one of them. As Ikenna tasted the soup cooked by his mother, tears welled up in his eyes. He felt a rush of warmth and familiarity, as if he had been reunited with a piece of his soul that had been lost. With trembling hands, he embraced his mother, their hearts overflowing with joy and gratitude. The villagers erupted into cheers and applause, their voices ringing out like music in the air. For in that moment, they witnessed the power of love and the triumph of truth over deception. With tears of joy streaming down their faces, Ikenna and his mother stood before the crowd, their bond unbreakable and their love unshakable. And as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden rays of light upon the village square, a new era dawned upon the kingdom. In a grand ceremony filled with pomp and splendor, Ikenna was crowned the rightful king of the land, his mother standing proudly by his side. The villagers rejoiced, their hearts filled with hope and optimism for the future. But amidst the celebrations, whispers of discontent lingered in the air, for the evil deeds of the King Ebekuo's wives had not been forgotten, and justice demanded retribution for their crimes. With steely determination, Ikenna vowed to uncover the truth and expose the treachery that had tainted his kingdom. With the help of his loyal advisors and the unwavering support of the villagers, he delved into the depth of the deceit, unraveling the webs of lies that had ensnared his mother and stained the honor of his kingdom. As the truth emerged from the shadows, the wickedness of King Ebekuo's wives was laid bare for all to see, their hearts filled with malice and envy. They had conspired to deceive and betray, their actions casting a shadow over the kingdom they had once called home. In a swift and decisive judgment, Ikenna banished the wicked queens from the kingdom, their names forever tarnished by the darkness of their deeds, and as they disappeared into the distance, their cries of anguish echoing through the night, the kingdom breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that justice had been served. In the aftermath of the ordeal, Ikenna's kingdom flourished, its people united in peace and harmony. The lessons of the past served as the beacon of wisdom, guiding the kingdom towards a future filled with hope and promise. And as the years passed by, the memory of the kingdom's trials faded into legend, a reminder of the enduring power of love and the resilience of human spirit. For in the end, it was not wealth or status that defined greatness, but the goodness of one's heart and the kindness of one's soul. And so, as the sun set upon the kingdom, casting its golden glow upon the land, Ikenna stood tall as a beacon of hope and inspiration, his reign a testament to the triumph of light over darkness and the eternal truth that in the end, good always prevails. The most important lesson in this story of King Ebekuo and his three wives, which unfolds with its twists and turns, is a profound message wrapped in the essence of kindness, truth, and bravery, teaching us that no matter the challenges we face, embracing goodness, being honest, and standing up for what is right, even when it is hard, not only brings about justice and happiness, but also illuminates the path to victory over darkness, reminding us that in life, being a good person is the most powerful force for creating a world filled with love, compassion, and joy. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.